Greetings, mortals. Welcome back to the next episode of Timeless or Time to Go. I have just finished recording the last video, and now I'm doing the next one, because I'm a little behind. I've been getting through these books a little bit too quickly. Partially because some of them are really good, but also because some of them are really bad. And we are going to get into that today. This is, weirdly, this group of books, this trio, is simultaneously the worst of the three books, but it contains the best book I've read so far. So, let's get right into it. We have Ender's Game, The Left Hand of Darkness, and We. Now then, I'm going to start off here with Ender's Game. This is written by Orson Scott Card. Now then, if you watch the very first video of this series, you may remember that this is not the original copy that I got for this challenge. Initially, I got a lot of these books off eBay because I like old books, and I enjoy giving used books, like used tools, that kind of thing, a new lease on life. But this is the first copy that I got of Ender's Game, and as good as it is, I draw the line at having somebody else's name written on the as a sprayed edge from Temu. So yeah, thanks Lozano, but no thank you. So I got myself a different secondhand copy. This one is much better. It's a little bit bigger, so the font on the inside is a little bit easier to deal with, because that book was a bit small. And yeah, this is Ender's Game. Now this, like a lot of books in this series, this book is also a film that I haven't seen. I may have seen a couple of movies based on the books in this series, but I haven't seen Ender's Game. I do, however, know that it starred Harrison Ford and Asa Butterfield. For those who don't know, he also played the main character from Sex Education. Which is a bit weird, considering that, at least in the book, the main character begins the book at 6 years old. So, I will say no more. So this book was written in 1985, but my copy here is from 1992. The cover art is pretty nice. Yeah, it gives a good vibe. I quite like the silvery kind of font that we have here. Yeah, very pretty. The back cover as well. It's like it's all in one thing here. So yeah, a very pretty book. It's quite a long book. This one, 350 pages, one of the longer books from this series, but it is 100% worth reading. Now, this is a pretty military-focused sci-fi, very similar to Starship Troopers, which again was a military sci-fi kind of book. Get that out of there. But that's where I was going to say that's where the similarities end, but I'm completely wrong. Strangely enough, in Starship Troopers, the humans fight against bugs. In Ender's Game, the humans fight against bugs. But in this book, they are actually called buggers, not bugs. Huge difference there. So yeah, this is probably pretty heavily inspired by Starship Troopers, which was written first. But that's where the similarities end. Starship Troopers, if you remember from my review, since that was also in this series, Starship Troopers was pretty heavily, had a lot of political takes, which are not present in this book. One thing I will say is that this book, as good as it is, and spoiler alert, this is a 5-star book, potentially may even get 6 stars, because it's better than other books I've rated 5 stars in this series. We'll see how that goes. If nothing tops this book event later in the series, then it will be given 6 stars. I know that doesn't make sense because 5 stars is supposed to be the maximum, but screw you, I'm giving it 6 stars because it is that good. There is one change that I would make to this book. There are some racial slurs, which is not what I was expecting in a future version of Earth where all humans are supposed to be united in a war against bugs. How does a society like that still have room for racial slurs? It only occurs a couple times, and so far as I can see, it serves no purpose at all in the plot. The book could have completely done away with those and it would have made no difference. Anyway, so this is about a kid called Ender. That's his nickname. His real name is Andrew. Definitely better to go by Ender. Could you imagine if this book was just called Andrew's Game? Oof. So he's a 6-year-old boy. He has been taken from his family to go to battle school, which is where gifted kids go to learn how to become military leaders to take control of the space armada that humanity is using to fight against the bugs. He's a boy genius, like pretty much everyone else at that school, but he is even more talented than them. They play a crazy version of zero gravity laser tag. That's basically the whole of Battle School, really. It's about playing the game. The kids are put into armies of 40 kids, led by a commander who's the most talented among them, and they go head-to-head in space laser tag. It's more exciting than it sounds. Me kind of abbreviating it to a 350-page book about space laser tag doesn't sound too good, but trust me, this is a really good book. The way that playing the game begins to affect his psychology, especially at such a young age, is a pretty interesting thing to read about. I was wondering at the beginning, it's like, why did you have to make all the characters so young? Like, toward the end of the book, he's 12, so it does jump quite a bit throughout the book, but it doesn't feel like you're jumping too far ahead. So he rises up through the ranks, and he's clearly the best of them all. He's like the one. They want to make him the leader of the entire Space Force. And yeah, it kind of shows how he moves through Battle School into Command School, and so on and so forth. Now, the big plot twist comes at the end. I am not going to spoil it, because it's the best thing about the book, and quite literally the craziest plot twist I have ever experienced in any fiction I've ever watched or read. It is absolutely brilliant. The annoying thing is I was explaining what happens to Diana and she immediately guessed it, so maybe that's me just being a little bit dense for not seeing that coming. But still, like, I don't have any memory of when I first watched Star Wars and realized that Darth Vader is Luke's father. But this is on that level of crazy plot twist to me. Yeah. Very, very good book. I will give it 6 stars if nothing else tops it in this entire challenge. Let's move swiftly onwards. I won't be needing this much anymore, because if you remember my closing statements of my last video, this group is the worst group I've read so far, containing the best book I've read so far. So now that Ender's Game is out of the way, we are going to move swiftly on to The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. Now, I was very, very much entranced by this cover. Now, the cover of this book was illustrated by Tim White, who is a legend in sci-fi cover art, basically. Sadly, he's passed away, but he has done some brilliant work illustrating sci-fi books. And this cover is fantastic. Now, this here is the 1992 reprint of a 1991 edition. He also did the cover art for the original edition of the book in 1969. But yeah, it's just really, really pretty. It's a vibe. I don't know what, but it's a vibe. And I'm considering looking at some more sci-fi books that also have covers by Tim White. Now, unfortunately, the cover is the best thing about this book. The stuff on the inside, not of much interest to me. I got about halfway into this book. Yeah, I really tried. I gave it everything I could. This book there's fantasy in my sci-fi, and I know they're adjacent genres, and I'm not opposed to fantasy at all. But when the book says that it's a classic of science fiction, and there's no science in it at all, like the only science is the fact that this is an alien planet, that's not science. Like, it being an alien planet is not enough to make it science. It's just fantasy on another planet. So yeah, this is set on a planet which is perpetually in winter. That plays no part in the role. That has no role to play in the book itself. And I thought it would, but it doesn't. So this planet is populated by humanoid aliens who are androgynous. They're hermaphroditic. They're ambisexual, I think is the correct word. Basically, they are all the same sex until they want to reproduce, and then one turns into a man and one turns into a woman. They don't know which one they're going to be. You can even be one, and then when you have your next child, you'll switch and be the other without knowing it's going to happen, which is a really interesting idea, but not enough to make an entire book worth reading when there's no plot whatsoever. It was giving me vibes of Foundation by Isaac Asimov, which was my first book in this entire series, and although I forced myself to read that entire book, it was not worth it. So I DNF'd this book. In case I didn't already say, this book is a DNF. Yeah, the cover is the best thing about it. That's really all I can say. This book has won so many awards. When I was looking at sci-fi classics to include in this series, this book kept cropping up every single time. This is in so many different lists and sci-fi best of science fiction series, and I'm sorry, but I don't see it. It just doesn't work for me. It just doesn't. It's like, yeah, that's an alien race where, you know, they have different reproduction from us, and therefore a different society, different culture. That's great. Great thing to explore, but there has to be an actual plot. The only plot in this book is the main character is an envoy sent by a federation of humanoid planets to invite this planet to join them. And they have to contend with the idea that their society is different because they reproduce differently. And the people on this planet are like, why would we want to join you? We have all our own stuff. We do our own thing. And that's kind of it. Like, I got halfway into the book and that's all that happened. And I've decided that I'm not going to continue reading books that just don't give me a reason to keep reading them. You know, I'm sorry. This won so many awards, but if I can't finish it, it's like, I'm not going to. I don't think I'm going to let how many awards a book has or hasn't won lead me to think that it's automatically good. You know, this is 1969, and although that's not that long ago, it won awards because of the social sciences aspect of it. And although social sciences is a science, I don't think it belongs in... Well, it does belong in sci-fi, but this is what we call soft sci-fi, where the actual science takes a back seat. And if I'm being honest, I don't think science fiction should allow science to take the back seat. That kind of defeats the whole point. So this is a fantasy book masquerading as sci-fi, and it's not for me. Bye-bye. Moving right along, here we go. This last book of this group is Yevgeny Zamyatin's We. Now, this book, let me get this out of the way. I only got about 20 pages in, and I DNF'd it. Yeah, if I thought the last book was social sciences based, this is social sciences as a sci-fi book. Now, this was the inspiration for 1984. For that reason, it deserves its due credit. This book was published it was first written in the 1920-ish, published in 1924, although it was published in the Soviet Union at the time, and it was buried because it's a criticism of authoritarian societies. It's a massive dystopia story. I didn't get far enough into this book to know that much about what it's about, but yeah, 1984 was great, but I don't think I need to read the book that inspired it, especially when this book is written as a prose poem. It's far too poetic for me. It's just, no, I didn't like it. And it's hard to explain why, but I didn't like it. This cover art is really cool. I do like that. It's a pretty book. Penguin Classics. Cover art. Painting of Futuristic Buildings and City by Anton Brzezinski. Yeah, this book was not published in Russia until 1988 because it was suppressed for obvious reasons. Yeah, sadly, I just couldn't even get into this. I started reading it and I was like, you know what? This isn't my idea of sci-fi. It's just going to be a social sciences dystopia. Like, I've had enough of political science and social science being part of sci-fi. Like, yeah, it's great. It teaches you a lesson about politics and oppression and stuff like that. But I got enough of that from Brave New World and 1984, and I don't need any more. Also, I just think this is hilariously poetic. The back of this book has a quote from Ursula Le Guin, who wrote Left Hand of Darkness, saying that this is the best single work of science fiction yet written, and I just think that's hilarious. Because I just DNF'd your book, and now you say this is the best sci-fi book ever, and I DNF'd this. Go away. So yeah, out of all those 3 books, this is the only one worth reading. Pretty much makes up for the terribleness of the other books, because this book took a little while to read. Like I said, it's 350 pages. I got through it in two days, I think. Put it this way, I read this book faster than I read half of Left Hand of Darkness. It took me days to get halfway through that book, and I still DNF'd it, which was a tough choice to make, because I was already halfway through. It's like, if I'd got any more than halfway through, if I got to like 60%, I would have probably forced myself to finish it. But I didn't. So, let's have a look at the stats. Yeah, DNF'd Left Hand of Darkness. I did give it 2 stars generously for the interesting concepts that it came up with. I'm going to put that out there. I DNF'd We, giving it 0 stars because I only got a few pages in, and that's not enough to give it a rating of any kind. So that gives us an average star rating of just 2.3. Considering Ender's Game currently has 5 stars and not 6. Might give it 6, like I said, if no other book beats it. However, in the final group 6 that we're going to be reading, we're going to be getting into The Drowned World, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and Dune, where those last 2 books are considered 2 of the best works of science fiction ever. So we're going to see if they match up to Ender's Game. I have started reading The Drowned World here. I'm just over halfway through. And then we just have those 2 books left to go. Dune, however, is nearly 600 pages, so it might be a little while before I finish that, but we are almost done with this series. And then we'll do a wrap-up video right at the end to go through all of the ratings, come up with a tournament-style ranking system to see which of these books really are timeless or time to go.